In the quiet town of Dunswell, the air always carried a hint of fresh pine, and the streets were empty by dusk. People spoke in hushed tones about the old bridge, where several townsfolk had vanished over the past few months. It wasn't until a cold evening in late autumn that the true horror emerged. Clara Barnes, a young reporter, had just moved to Dunswell, seeking a quiet life away from the chaos of the city. She'd heard whispers about the disappearances, but it was just small-town gossip, she thought. One evening, she overheard a conversation at the local diner. The sheriff had warned the residents to stay indoors after dark. "It's not just kids running off anymore," he said, shaking his head. Clara's curiosity got the best of her. The next day, with a camera in hand, she ventured to the old bridge that had become infamous in the whispers. The air was thick with fog, and the sound of the water below was unnervingly quiet. Clara crouched down to take a photo when something caught her eye: a small, blood-stained patch of earth. Hidden behind a cluster of overgrown ivy, the hairs on the back of her neck stood up. She snapped a few pictures, but then, from the corner of her eye, she saw movement. A figure stepped from the shadows, a man wearing a tattered coat, his face hidden beneath a dark hood. Clara froze, her heart pounding in her chest. Before she could react, the man smiled an eerie, twisted grin that seemed to stretch too far. He spoke in a low voice, "You shouldn't be here." Suddenly, Clara felt a sharp pain in her side. She gasped as her vision blurred. The man had a knife, its blade glinting in the dim light. The last thing she saw before everything went black was the man's figure looming over her, whispering, "I've been waiting." When the sheriff found Clara's body 2 days later, it was in a state of shock. She had been mutilated, and a message had been carved into her skin. The bridge is just the beginning. The town was paralyzed with fear, realizing that the killer had been among them all along. The disappearances weren't random. They were methodical, the work of someone who knew Dunswell's dark history all too well. The small town now had a name for the killer, the Bridge Keeper, and no one was safe.